Rob Lewis with VolQuest.com.
Yeah.
Coach, just when you get in these tournaments, a lot of times when the underdog gets rolling, they've hit a lot of threes. Louisiana led the Sun Belt in three-point shooting. How big of a point of emphasis is guarding the three-point line tomorrow?
Well, it's important. I think that when you look at teams this time of year that can shoot the ball, they stress your defense on the perimeter, but they've also got a terrific post player that they play through that they love getting him the ball, and he can move the ball, and he's really has gotten a lot of attention from a lot of different opponents this year. And we're going to have not only just great perimeter defense, but we're going to have great post defense.
Right here. Right over here, I'm sorry.
Karaski Melvin, KLFY in Lafayette. Coach, can you talk about your relationship with Coach Bob Marlin?
Yeah, I met Bob, oh man, I don't even know how many years ago, many years ago when I went to Texas and he was at Sam Houston. We were always, it seemed to be in the same place at the same time, obviously recruiting, and have just the utmost respect for Bob and the job that he's done everywhere he's been. He's a terrific basketball mind. His teams, and everywhere he's been, he's played at a high level, been in this tournament many times, and just does a great job of putting his guys in position where they can be successful. You look at this team, and he really spaces the floor well to give them a chance to not only put the ball inside, but play off their post player, and then they certainly shoot the ball well. But as a human being, too, as I've gotten to know Bob, he's just a wonderful person, and it's been a blessing for me to get to know him.
Andrew Miller with the Post and Courier down in Charleston. Just talk a little bit about Josiah James. He came back for his fifth year. Talk about that decision to forego the NBA and then what he's meant to the program for the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, he's meant a lot to our program in just so many different ways, not only on the court, but the way he handles himself off the court, and has had to deal with injuries throughout his career, but he's always worked as hard as he can to get back. And I know has been frustrated at times because he loves, obviously, the kind of person that wants to try to do more and help his teams. And he's, when he got back, then he got hurt again with a high ankle sprain, which happened at a tough time of year. But he continues to do everything he can to help us. But from the time that he's walked on campus, he's been a very important part of our program.
Hey, Coach, Mike Bianchi with the Orlando Sentinel. When Danny White left Orlando to go up to Tennessee as the AD, can you speak to, what that's been like? What did he do to sort of right the ship in the athletic department there?
That would probably take all afternoon to tell you everything that he and his staff have done. It's been an incredible turnaround. And the fact that they've done so many things, and obviously what's happened with football has been great, and it probably happened quicker than we all could imagine that it happened. But with everything, there's an emphasis placed on winning and doing it the right way. There's a great emphasis placed on integrity, protecting the university. But the leadership that he brought in and has a big job in terms of continuing to bring our facilities up to where they need to be, because we're in the best athletic league in the country. But there's not one area of the university that he hasn't impacted some way. With our fan interest has just grown leaps and bounds in the last couple of years. I think our fan experience at games, not just basketball, football, he's put a great emphasis on that. I think he's put a great emphasis on trying to include everyone that we can, to not only expand the great base that we have with Ball Nation, but everywhere, just to bring, he said to me one day that, everybody that moves into Nashville, Tennessee, we need to make them volunteer fans. He's a guy that I think that really thinks outside the box. I think I would say he's one of the most competitive people I've ever been around. And he's got a staff around him that, that they want to give us a chance to have everything that we need to compete at the highest level. But I could go on, but the fact is what he's done in such a short time is something he should really be commended for, and people should take recognition to it.
Right here.
Yeah, Kip Coons, Press Box View. Rick, it would seem that you can't outrun your ACC past either. You're here, and also Virginia and Duke. Virginia, although in the other bracket, and Duke possibly in your way. Have you had a chance to catch up with either staff and compare old-time ACC notes with them?
No, I did bump into Jay Lucas, who played for me at Texas, and now Jay's on the staff at at Duke, and we were able to cross paths when we were at the practice facility earlier this morning. But you look at both of those staffs, and certainly Virginia and what they've done over the last, they've been a model of consistency with the way they do things. And John Shire's first year, I think, has been a terrific success in the way that he's built this team he's gotten, continue to get better. And, when I think of Tony Bennett, I mean, I've known Tony, knew his dad, coached against his dad. So, again, just really great people. And I'm not surprised by the success of either one of them. And I think both of those guys have walked into jobs that are really pretty much made for them. And they've taken it and they've ran with it. And if you know them, I don't think anybody would be surprised at the success they've had and what they're going to continue to have.
Rick, you've talked about opposing defenses taking away the three-point line. What do you guys got to do to avoid that? How do you keep a defense from taking away the three-point line?
How do you say it again? How do we guard the three-point line? What you're saying?
How do you avoid other teams from taking the three-point line away from you?
Well, again, when they're out that far, you've got to be able to drive the ball. You got to be able to make them respect the fact that you can go to the basket. And some teams do it different ways. Some teams will just simply stay out there and dare you to go in there with it. And we've been faced with that some this year. And then obviously some teams would prefer getting into gaps and trying to reach and take the ball that way and make it more difficult to pass from a driving kick situation. But I'm not, at this point in time, I don't think we'll see a defense. I mean, we've seen pretty much every defense I think you could see this year. It's going to get down to the way people play personnel. And we need to, again, execute what we do. We need to make sure our spacing is where it is and move the ball and pass the ball and make sure when throughout the game you've got to make adjustments and that we're alert enough, and when we come out of timeouts, the adjustments that we call for, that we can execute them.
Wes Rucker with 24/7 Sports. Rick, you've been coaching this game for a while. You've been in this tournament a long time. Some teams head into this thing and they've won 9 of their past 10. Sometimes you're 5 of your past 10 or whatever it is. In your experience, how much does any of that matter once this tournament starts?
Well, you go back through history, there's teams that have limped into the tournament and won it. There's teams that have come in at a 12 seed and win a national championship. There's teams that got beat by 15 points in our conference championship and lost 4 games in February in a row, maybe 7 out of 9. I think that when you get here, it's all a start over, and certainly you like to think that if you've had that momentum coming in, I would just say I think when you get here, it all starts over, and you better understand the urgency of taking care of all details with it, and you want your players to really enjoy it. I don't think you want to do drastic changes with your team because I think you send the wrong signal to them doing that. I think you've got to get them to believe that what got them here is good enough to win it, and knowing that I would say a lot of teams have gone through some ups and downs this year, and we're no different than that. But right now we've got to rely on the work, everything that we put into our program. We believe in it and know that if we come out and compete, and that's the main thing, and we'll compete at the highest level, we feel like we can give ourselves a chance to win, and I would think that any team in the country would have that attitude.